Hello, everyone, and thank you for joining me today. This is Vimoh Live. I'm Vimoh, and this is live. It happens every Wednesday at 8 p.m. and Saturday at 8 p.m. Today is Saturday, 5th of August, 2023. And today I'm going to talk about something that I kind of touched upon in my video with Meghnad, and Meghnad actually made a part two to his beer biceps response that is up on his channel. And I noticed something curious there. When he was talking about Rajiv Malhotra, he mentioned that Rajiv Malhotra's bio on his website at some point said that he was a scholar of Indic studies. But at another point of time, he was calling himself a computer scientist and a physicist, or at least that he was being trained to be a physicist and then trained to be a computer scientist. And I thought there is nothing really fancy about this, because this is probably the story of almost 90% of Indian science students. When someone is studying physics as a science student in college, they're technically training to be a physicist, if nothing else. And when they leave that and go into software, I suppose it may be said that they're being trained to be a computer scientist. So it felt like a whole lot of big words being used to describe a very common career choice. And that got me thinking, why does Beer Biceps podcast, the tagline to it, say that it is India's smartest podcast? Why do all these young right wing boys think of these people as experts in geopolitics? Like, you will have to watch Meghnad's full video in order to understand the full import of it. But it's a larger problem, isn't it? It's almost as if we are fetishizing intelligence, right? इंटेलिजेंस है या नहीं, दूर 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 तक, मतलब दैट्स अ डिफरेंट मैटर. But one has to look intelligent, one has to be stylish. And I am particularly saying this when responding to this comment from Surya, who says, when it comes to content, Vimo has substance, but I think he needs to improve the style part a little more. So since I am someone without style, I think I'm the right person to comment on this matter, uh, compared to someone else who may be more stylish. Look, I haven't even shaved today. So that is the topic of today. We're going to talk about how Indian society fetishizes intelligence, and to what extent is this fetishization of intelligence a result of the caste system? Because the caste system places Brahmins on top, and Brahmins are supposed to be keepers of knowledge, and other people not so much. So we have essentially compartmentalized the entire intelligence department in society and given it to certain people. I was wondering if our fetishization of intelligence, not actual intelligence, just the idea of intelligence and looking intelligent and having the guru image. I've talked about this previously in the Babagiri episodes. I wonder if fetishization of intelligence is a result of the caste system. So we'll talk about all of that. If you have views about it, you should feel free to come on screen and talk to me about it. I will share a link in the chat right now, and I will pin it to the top. If you want to join today's live stream, come on screen and talk to me. Even if your webcam is off, it's okay. You can just be audio on screen. Click on that link and join the queue. Uh, I will request everyone to stick to the topic today. I know that there is. Hold on, there is someone. There is Ashish in the chat. Says, most likely my final discussion on subsidies today. Hope I get 5 minutes to make my point. Not saying you weren't allowing me to speak earlier, a bit better prepared this time. Ashish, please let us skip it this week. Let us talk about it next week. I'm kind of tired of talking about subsidies. Also, the topic is different today. So let's do this next Saturday if that's okay with you. If you want to talk about the topic today, feel free to join and we'll talk. So before I proceed, I'll just remind everyone that the live stream is monetized. You can support this channel by clicking the join button below and becoming a member of the channel. You can also send super chats in the chat, in the live chat. You can also support the channel by donating to Vimo at UPI directly, because every other medium cuts a little bit of money. That money, if you send by UPI, comes to me directly in its fullness, in all its glory. There is also a Patreon page at patreon.com/Vimoh where you can support the channel on a monthly or with an annual or a monthly pledge. And of course, finally, there is my website www.vimo.in, where you can go and click the support button and make a donation of an amount of your choice. There's no monthly or annual scheme there. It's a one-time payment there. So thanks in advance for all the contribution you make. It is you who's sponsoring this channel. It is you who's helping me do all the things that I do. And your support helps me buy books and purchase software and do all the things that I need to do to run this channel and other stuff also. So thanks in advance one more time. Right. So before I take people on, let me just take a look at a few comments. Surya says, yes, looking smart is not the same as being smart. Jaggi, Ranveer, Pragarajya, elitist Raju, et al. All look and sound smart, but spread a lot of BS. Yeah. And the other thing to remember is that some of these people may not even look smart to us, but they do pay a lot of attention in creating the ambience and creating the atmosphere of intelligence in order to appeal to their uh, audience base. And the curious thing is, if they didn't do that, like, here's the thing: if someone is smart, if someone is intelligent, do they need to say that I am intelligent? If an intelligent person is developing an intelligent audience base, then would it not be evident to the intelligent audience base that the content creator is intelligent? Do they have to put India's smartest podcast or Acharya Ye ya Shri Shri Guru Vagera Vagera? So the conclusion I have reached is that most of it is just branding. It's branding something as smart in order to radiate the idea that there is something smart happening here, when in reality there isn't anything smart happening there. It's all pretty basic and mediocre. If, like, the enemy of smart is not dumb, the enemy of smart is mediocre. If the general baseline of intelligence expected from people is brought down to the mid levels, then most people will fall into thinking that that is the highest level possible, right? And then that becomes the defining characteristic of intelligence, that becomes the definition of intelligence in our society, in India specifically. Of course, this is not purely an Indian problem, it can be found in other places also. I, however, am talking about India only because, it's an Indian live stream. Mr. Phantom says, can a student give a speech on atheism in a school which explicitly mentions that it's one of the missions is to deepen students' faith in God? Where is this coming from? Because I'm in my school and an atheist wanted to give a speech on non-existence of God but was not allowed. Well, I guess it depends on the school. And I think the school, if a school is devoted to the mental well-being and mental growth of students, then it should allow students to explore topics like that. However, this seems to be a religious school, in which case I suppose it's a problem for school management to sort out and the student to sort out in collaboration with the school management. Puneet says there is a really beautiful and old discussion among many poets and Firak Gorakhpuri. He was talking about how people usually learn style over substance. The conversation was about languages. Yeah. Uh, there is a there is a there is a film in which Nasiruddin Shah plays the role of a Muslim cleric in Pakistan, and he was in a court in a Katagara, and he's like, we are not focused on substance. We are only focused on the appearance of looking like a Muslim, wearing a cap, growing a beard, etc. So I think this is a wider problem in that respect. But I'm talking about a very specific subset of it, which is the appearance of intelligence. Um, mm, 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 mm. Okay, Ashish says he'll be here. Ashish, I don't think I'll change my mind on it today. So if you want, you can go. If you stay, you can talk about some other topic. Let's take Abhishek. Hi, Abhishek. Abhishek. अभिषेक ओके अभिषेक की आवाज़ नहीं आ रही थी म्यूट पे थे लेट्स टेक अर्जुन राजेंद्रन हाय अर्जुन
Hi, Vimoh. Can you hear me?
आई कैन हियर यू गो ऑन
Hello.
आई कैन हियर यू अर्जुन कैन यू हियर मी Is Arjun audible to the people in the chat? That's weird. I can hear Arjun. Let me try again. Arjun, I have added you again.
Yeah, I can hear you, Vimoh.
Okay, cool. Go on.
Okay, so I just want to ask you something off topic.
Okay.
Uh, is that okay with you?
Not very greatly off topic, but mildly related is okay.
Okay. So, what is your opinion about Jiggy Vasudev?
Jaggi Vasudev, you know my opinion on him. I've
Yeah.
talked about him so much. Are you new?
So, yeah, I'm new to this.
Okay. So my view on Jaggi Vasudev is, if you have watched any video by Science is Dope debunking his stuff, my view is that
Yeah,
he's
yeah.
just another Baba. These are basically brands which are
Mm-hmm.
masquerading, which are not masquerading. This is what religion is. Religion is often about branding. It's about
Yeah,
logos and
yeah.
mascots and uh, design and all that, and it
Mm-hmm.
enables tourism and all that. So I have similar view of all Babas, including some Babas which people think are reasonably secular. Also, I don't think there is any need for people to grow a beard, put on robes, and go around pretending to be wise advice
Yeah,
givers. You can do that wearing a t-shirt
that's right.
also.
I think the problem is he's very convincing,
Hmm.
and he's using science. Um,
Again, he's using the appearance
yeah,
of science. He's not actually using
yeah,
science.
that's right. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
he's actually not using science, but
Hmm.
sometimes he says stuff like, if you wear black clothes in public, that will attract negative energy and all that stuff. I
Hmm.
used to believe him, and
Hmm.
then I came to realize that it was all blunder. You know.
Hmm.
Mm.
Yeah, that's true.
So yeah.
These guys try to equate their brand of
Hmm.
spirituality with science, and in doing
Yeah,
so,
that's
they kind of create a lot of misinformation. Like there are babas who say you can put mercury in food and eat, which is dangerous advice. Someone could die because of
yeah, that's right.
such advice. So, but because they have to sell their merchandise, they do it. Okay, and it's merchandise only. That all the uh, kya vastu devices, all the golden ornaments that are supposed to ward off bad luck, all the sacred soil or ash, it's all merchandise. It's
Yeah, that's
basically
true. That's
branding.
true.
It's a corporation building you crap that you don't need by branding it very well and advertising it very well.
Okay. So the problem is when you hear this kind of stuff, one
Hmm.
part of the brain is like, "Oh, that's bullshit," and the
Hmm.
other part is always afraid and doubtful. That's there is a conflict happening all the time in the mind.
Hmm. Hmm.
And like, let's say, for example, if you take a silly example like this, if
Hmm.
I wear a black cloth or a black
Hmm.
T-shirt or whatever, and if I
Hmm.
go out in the public, there is this thought coming in my head all the time.
Hmm.
Something that Jeggi has said, and this is not the only thing. He has said many stuff which are like you cannot even logically comprehend it. It's like
Hmm.
it's against your,
But
it's against your rational mind.
I suppose you should pay attention to why you're feeling like, why are you in two
Yeah,
minds? If what he
yeah,
says
that's
does not
true.
make any logical sense, then where is the
Mm.
resistance coming from? It's coming from your religion, right?
Yeah, that's true. I'm not a religious
Because
person at
you're,
all. That's the thing.
I know, but still there
Mm.
is this cultural bias towards a wise man sitting on a stage giving
Yeah,
advice.
that's true. Exactly,
That's
exactly.
what
That's
gets in
true.
the way, I
Hmm.
suppose. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. That gets in the way all the time because we
Hmm.
have this image of someone who has attained enlightenment. He's sacred. He's spiritual. He has
Yeah. Yeah.
the entire knowledge of the world and all that. We already
Yeah.
assume that,
Yeah.
because the Indian mind. We all have that in ourselves, right?
Yeah.
And the
It's
more you
like
try, yeah.
if it's a summer day and you see an ad for a Coca-Cola and you feel like drinking it and
Hmm.
you go to the cold drink wala and then there
Mm.
is no Coca-Cola, you'll still buy a Pepsi because the
Yeah.
branding is not specifically about a thing. It's also about a feeling, right?
Mm.
So if you if one brand ka advertisement arouses certain feelings in you, and you
Yeah.
don't exactly get that brand, you'll still fulfill that need using some other brand. So sometimes एक brand का advertising works for someone else. So all the advertising that you have seen from all the mythological serials and all the other gurus also
Yeah.
works to help sell whatever this particular guru is selling.
Yeah. Exactly.
Hmm.
So whenever you're trying to fight these superstitions and all that,
Hmm.
they tend to become even more stronger within you. You know, that's also one thing that I
Well,
found.
no,
Like,
I think in the last several decades, the influence of these gurus has only grown because of their attachment to politics. Had that
yeah,
not been
that's
there,
true.
had that
Hmm.
not been there, they would not be as influential as they seem to be.
Hmm.
So generally speaking, people have become more aware of how the universe works. And if that
Yeah,
universe, if that information is not muddled up and muddied and put out in order to, uh, confuse people. Like
yeah,
if scientific knowledge goes out as scientific knowledge instead of pata hai, we also had this 10,000 years ago, right?
yeah.
If
That's
if
true.
that
That's
doesn't
true.
happen,
That's
then people will be more receptive to it. So it's mostly money power and political power that keeps these people in circulation.
yeah, that's true, Vimoh.
Hmm.
So that's it.
Cool, Arjun. Thank you for joining.
Oh,
Much
okay.
appreciated. And
Oh, thank you very much, Vimoh.
hope
Thank you.
you come
I
again.
appreciate
Bye bye.
I appreciate your work, man. I really
Thank you.
appreciate your work. Okay.
Thank you so
Okay.
much. Bye bye.
Thank you very much. Bye.
That was Arjun. And hold on, let me remove Arjun from the queue. The next person is Aesop. Hello, Aesop.
Hello, hello. Can you
Hello.
hello?
Yes, I can hear you.
Can you hear me? Yeah, okay, yeah.
Yes.
Okay, so yes, I wanted to ask something about like uh, I watched a channel. I watched a few of your
Aesop, are
videos.
you the same person from
Yeah,
Haryana
yeah,
who
yeah.
is here?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, I changed the name
Okay.
because people apparently don't like Amazon. So yes.
Okay.
So I wanted to ask something about uh you like atheism.
Hmm.
Do you think people like mostly religious because of like cult, or is it because like you know or is it because like they actually believe in the concept of god? Do you believe that?
I think it's not really a clear cut demarcation between the two things. Sometimes people are unable to make a distinction between whether they believe or whether they only subscribe to a religion because of family pressures. Sometimes
Okay.
someone may not believe and may simply be, by peer pressure, be pushed into the idea that God exists.
Yeah, because one thing that recently happened was like I was having a discussion
Hmm.
with my some of my one of my friend, and I actually happened to make them cry, because of
Okay.
the religious argument I got into. And I don't like it. It is very difficult for me to
What was the argument and
I think
what was their position?
I think they brought up some religious figure, which I
Hmm.
basically didn't like. I think like basically all of this was a scam,
Hmm.
to rob people of their money, increase their influence and all of that stuff. I happened to like bring that up and all of that. And yeah, I gave some example, and I don't know, like I shouldn't have, maybe not, like shouldn't be more easy on like the guy, easy on the person. And yeah, that
Hmm.
kind of like offended them, and yeah, I made them cry. So I was like thinking, but I have been like, know this person for like 6 years. This is the first time I've seen like him being any sort of like showing any sort of like faith toward any kind of like religious notion or religious, thing.
Okay.
So it is very hard for me to understand like, okay, this is the aspect of you I didn't really understand, though we had this conversation about like, religious figures being, like criminals and all of that stuff related to politician, basically, uh, uh, how do you say it? Basically capitalist, if you think of it, like they just
Hmm.
want to increase their influence, so
Yeah.
this is the first time like it is hard for me to understand like why does it happen.
Yeah.
Is it because of the
Sometimes when you point out to people that something they have believed their entire life, a cherished belief or a cherished worldview, when you say that it is false, it affects them not only on the reason level, it also affects them on an emotional level. Because
yeah,
people start, like, if you look at a Hindu, what does a Hindu define himself as? A Hindu defines himself as a descendant of the the characters in their religious epics, right? So if you
yeah,
say that those epics never happened, they kind of lose their hold on who they are. If you tell a Christian the same, if you tell a Muslim the same, that the people who they think they have been following their entire life were not real, it affects them on an emotional level. And there is hardly anything you can do about it except be sensitive unless they're being dicks to someone else, in which case you don't need to be sensitive. But when you're raising things like this, uh, a lot of times atheists talking to theists doesn't work out, because atheists are essentially saying the ground that you're standing on is not real, but we don't say what else they can stand on. Of course, that's
Yeah,
not our job, but we should also be cognizant of the fact that maybe the person does not have as much of a hold on scientific reality as you do. So
yeah.
maybe investigate a little to find out if they have that ground to stand on. And if they don't, then go gentle.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's okay to take 4 days instead of one day.
Mhm. Okay. The other thing I wanted to ask you about was like,
Last point
have
is up,
it?
huh?
Yeah, yeah.
Last point.
Do you
Yeah.
use subreddit? Do you use like subreddit?
You mean Reddit?
Yeah. So, oh, sorry, Reddit. So there's this thing that is recently like happening where people tend to like make more sort of like anti sort of like Islamic jokes and all of that stuff. At
Hmm.
first I thought it was just jokes, but
Hmm.
recently when you start going through their account, their profiles, they tend to be like following more sort of like subreddits from like extreme like far right and all of that stuff. Why do you
Hmm.
think this has happened? Like when does it
It
like
hasn't
why the
happened. Why are you using Reddit as an example? It has happened on Twitter also and YouTube also. It's
Yeah,
a
because
it's a
like
wider,
Reddit is the
yeah.
only sort of like social media platform I use.
Okay, so I don't use Reddit that much, so I will not be able to comment on it. But by and large, YouTube and all these services are kind of what you see on the social network when you log in is determined by the algorithm. So if you have shown interest in a cooking video, the next time you log in, you'll see more cooking videos. And then if you show interest in a particular kind of cooking video, suppose like you're interested in egg sandwiches, then
Hmm.
the next time you'll see more egg sandwich videos. And then you narrow down into egg sandwiches from China, then they will show you even more Chinese videos about how to make egg sandwiches. So the algorithm tries to do its best to figure out what you're interested in. So if someone goes into one right wing topic, they get pulled into a deeper rabbit hole of associated topics. And so it goes on and on. And of course, a lot of these people are also trolls. Like they
Yeah,
pretend to be fair minded, liberal, rational people, but they're not. They're basically drug peddlers. They're
yeah, but
drug pushers, basically. Yeah. They come
but
in and they present a sane front so that you will at least listen to them, and then slowly and slowly the indoctrination starts and people get pulled into deeper areas.
yeah, but why is it like mostly happening on like meme subreddit? That's what I've noticed. Like that is the place
Because
where
there is a
most
lot
of
of
these people.
ambiguity in memes, right? If someone comes and says, I hate these people, right? You'll say,
Hmm.
"Oh, what a terrible human being. I'm not going to look at him." But then they post a joke and you're like, just a joke. What's the harm in a joke? Let me listen to a few more of their jokes. And before the day is over, you have seen 10,000 memes by them, which are slowly and slowly pushing you towards that conclusion only.
Yeah,
So yeah,
yeah,
they use the ambiguity of humor often to do their indoctrination.
yeah. One other thing I would like,
Aesop,
I've
Aesop,
seen.
Aesop. I have to move on to the next caller.
Oh
I
no,
told you last
just
point. That was the last
I
point.
was just telling you to maybe you can like cover whatever is happening, the riots that are happening in my state, like in Haryana. Maybe you can cover that.
Cool.
Yeah, yeah.
Thanks. Wasn't Aesop, who's Amazon, last time coming and saying that Haryana has done fine? Anyway, the next is Jagdish Swaroop. Jagdish, बोलिए.
ओम नमो नारायणाय.
हाँ, बोलिए.
Uh, I think you are a charvark. Why you deny it?
I am not a Charvak, and I've made a video about why I don't call myself a Charvak. It is on my main channel. You can go watch it.
Charvaks are the people like they don't believe, they want to enjoy life. They don't
जगदीश
they don't
जगदीश
believe in it.
इस सवाल का जवाब मैंने एक पूरे वीडियो में दिया है. आई डोंट वांट टू रिपीट द एंटायर थिंग. इट्स ऑन माय मेन चैनल. यू कैन गो वॉच इट एंड यू कैन लीव अ कमेंट देयर इफ यू वांट.
Yes.
और कुछ था?
So you were asking that what is the like believe. If you have to believe in the God, you have to be surrender to the God, and we have to believe the Vedas as a evidence. Because Vedas have been written by the God itself.
Who's saying this? You are saying this? Or are you saying that I said
Yes,
it?
I'm. Yeah, you
You're saying
said
it.
that. Yes, what is the like for evidence of God? Evidence of God, like we have to believe what is
How do
been
you
written in the Vedas,
how do you know that the Vedas were written by God?
because it is said by the lineage of the gurus, which we are
How do you know that
studying.
they see what came first, the Gurus or the Vedas?
Of course, the Vedas.
Right? Who wrote the Vedas then? Gods wrote it with their own hands?
No, it is like on the state of the mind, the Rishi and Munis have reached that
Right.
pinnacle, and they
Right. So
read whatever
how do
they
you
comes
know
in the mind.
how how do you know that what the rishis wrote came from the gods?
Now, you have to believe that. Like if we
Why do I have to believe that?
uh, so why have to we have to believe you are the son of your father? Do you ask for the
I have
certificate?
evidence of the fact that I am the son of my father.
So you don't go for the evidence. So father, you are my
Yes, I
father.
do.
Give me the
Yes, I
evidence.
do. Yes, I do. I do go by evidence of the fact that my father is my
But
father.
but we have to
My
believe the
father is real, by the
God.
way. I can examine my father. I can examine our DNA. I can examine other sources. A lot of independent sources can tell me that I am the son of my father. I'm saying when you have no evidence of God, how would you know that what the rishis have written came from God? Your answer can't be
But we
you
have to.
just have to believe it, because then some other religion will come and say, here is my holy book. It was written by God. Will you believe them?
When we do proofreading and cross checking by
Listen.
by
The argument that
yes,
Jagdish, the argument that you
yes,
gave me, you said that the rishis wrote the Vedas according as the gods wanted, right? And when I said
yes,
what is the evidence, you said you just have to believe it. I'm saying if someone else came from another religion and said this is my holy book, and you have to believe that God caused it to be written, will you believe them?
of course not.
Why not? Why can't you just believe it? If you're asking me to just
Because
believe it, why
because
can't you just
because
believe that?
because we are doing cross checking, that thing is been
So there is
implicated
evidence.
on the.
So you're saying I just don't have to believe it. There is cross checking. There is evidence.
No, we have to believe it first, and then we have to implicate that
So
text
ये तो
on
वो
our
दूसरा आदमी भी बोल सकता
day-to-day
है
life.
that other person who comes and says कि first you have to believe this, then you will find the evidence. Will you do it? Will you do so?
So we can debate to them also.
हाँ, so
If the
they don't want a debate,
yes,
right? They said just believe it and then you will find evidence. Will you do so?
okay, we also be in their shoes. Okay, we believe in a fact, but it doesn't come into
Jagdish, the question,
the.
my question remains unanswered. If someone came and showed you a book from their religion and said this was written by God, you say what is the evidence? They say just believe it and then you will find evidence. Will you do so?
Of course,
You will believe it.
in that perspective, we yes for a second, not
इसमें पर्सपेक्टिव
definitely
आता ही नहीं है. इसमें पर्सपेक्टिव आता ही
for
नहीं है. They said just believe it. Will you do so?
we cannot believe that.
Then how can I believe what you're saying?
Please surrender to our text and have that feeling that they are
Yeah,
right or
so
not.
वो दूसरा आदमी भी
Not
तुमसे वही
not
बोल रहा
blindly.
है. वो दूसरा आदमी भी तुमसे वही बोल रहा है. Please surrender to my text and then you will find belief. Will you do so?
Yes, we can,
So you will do so.
because
If a
that
Muslim man, if a so okay,
yes, yes,
जगदीश स्वरूप के पास कोई मुसलमान आता है या कोई क्रिश्चियन आता है अपना बाइबल या कुरान लेके बोलता है कि इसको भगवान ने लिखा है, तुम बस मान लो, तुम मान जाओगे?
but we have to cross check, no, Baba. We have to
तो
cross check.
क्रॉस चेक
If that
तो
doesn't
हाउ डू आई क्रॉस
that
चेक
doesn't lead to the.
how do I cross check? You
This
did
will
not say cross check. When you told me to accept the Vedas, you did not say cross check or evidence. You said you have to believe first. मैं कह रहा हूं कि
In Vedas.
जो चीज तुम मुझसे एक्सपेक्ट कर रहे हो, वही चीज कोई तुमसे एक्सपेक्ट करेगा तो तुम नहीं करोगे ना?
Yes.
हाँ, तो क्यों? ये डबल स्टैंडर्ड किस लिए? अगर तुम चाहते
If
हो
that
कि अगर तुम
if
चाहते हो कि मैं
if
तुम्हारी
that
बात मान लूं, तो तुम दूसरों की बात क्यों नहीं मानोगे?
if that text doesn't lead to God realization, we will not believe in that text. As simple as
No,
that.
no, no, no. Again, you
Our
did not
text,
say
our
first
our
test
our
and then
Vedas.
believe. You did not say first test and then believe. You said first believe. वो दूसरा आदमी भी तुमसे वही कह रहा है. First believe and then you will find evidence and
No,
all
no.
that.
But first you have to surrender yourself to the Vedas. Then
हाँ, तो
see the magic.
that other guy, he's also telling you the same thing. You have to first surrender to my holy book. Will you surrender?
Yes, I will surrender to them. But it will not
Okay. Okay.
lead
So
me to the God
okay. So
realization.
again, how do you know before you have surrendered? You have to surrender first, obviously. कोई आके
I will,
तुमको बोलता
I
है
will,
कोई आके तुमको बोलता है कि ये
I
मेरा
will.
होली बुक है, इसको सरेंडर कर ले, आँख बंद करके मान ले, फिर तुझे एविडेंस मिल जाएगा और तुम कर लोगे, है ना? यही कह रहे हो तुम?
But by dismissing everything, you cannot gain the benefit, Baba. You see, please
हाँ, तो
believe
मैं
the
तो वही
text,
बोल रहा हूँ
believe
कि
the
डिसमिस
Gita.
मत करो। मैं तो वही बोल रहा हूँ, डिसमिस मत करो। तुम बड़े ओपन माइंडेड हो। अगली बार कोई मुसलमान तुम्हारे पास कुरान लेके आएगा, तो तुम मान जाओगे उसकी बात, क्योंकि वो बोल रहा है कि बिलीव करने में मिल जाएगा, है ना?
Yes, Paramatma equals to Allah. Why not?
Jagdish,
God
I
is
want this on
yes,
record. I want this on record very clearly. If a Muslim man comes to you and shows you the Quran and says this is a book written by God, and you say where is the proof, and he said there is no proof, just believe it, you will accept it. That's what you're saying.
the text which Quran believes is equals to Vedas. That text we can believe.
How will you
They
make a
believe
determination?
they
How will you make a
they believe
determination? वो सब बाद में आता
they
है.
believe.
पहले तुमको बिलीव करना है. करोगे?
Yes, why not?
ओके, कूल. सो वी हैव इट ऑन रिकॉर्ड. जगदीश स्वरूप के पास आके कोई भी कुछ भी बोलेगा, वो मान लेगा.
Yes,
हो गया. थैंक यू जगदीश. थैंक
yes.
यू. बाय बाय. बाय.
Bye
वी
bye.
हैव टू मूव ऑन टू द नेक्स्ट कॉलर. एक ही चीज को 5 बार बोल चुका हूं मैं. चलो बाय बाय. राइट, सो दैट वाज जगदीश. कितना लंबा गया है, बट इट्स अ वेरी सिंपल पॉइंट. इट्स अबाउट व्हेनेवर समवन आस्क्स यू टू बिलीव बिफोर एविडेंस, you can just ask them. If someone else came and asked you the same thing, will you believe it? Hardly anyone will say yes. This guy was not even saying yes. Later जब बहुत बुरी तरह से फंस गया, तो yes बोलने पे बाध्य होना पड़ा, और उसके बाद यही साबित हो गया कि the only thing that this makes possible is gullibility. So before I proceed, let me just thank Gunduchi for being a member for 10 months. Gunduchi says cross checkers should be a t-shirt. Hmm? Cross checkers. That could also mean someone who checks Christianity, by the way. Cross checkers. Dr. Striker, thank you for the 40 rupees super chat. Good work that you do here, Vimoh. Keep it up. Thank you, Dr. Striker. Much appreciated. And again, I'll remind everyone that if you want to support the channel, you can send a super chat or become a member by clicking the join button below. Taranga says that was hilarious. Yes, it was. Sometimes you get the exact kind of argument that uh, the most basic form of argument. Just believe me. Kyun bhai? If an argument is going to be useful, it has to be useful across the board, right? It has to work this way and that way. You can't say you should just believe my book but no other book, because then you have to create criteria for why should you believe my. वो मेरी बाईं आंख फड़क रही है फिर से. क्या हो रहा है? ये वेदों को बोला इसलिए हो रहा है ये. You can't say believe my book and then I say why. You said you just have to believe, and then when you get trapped by that same argument being used against you, you have to say no, but cross checking evidence. Oh, so there is evidence, you mean? Tell me what the evidence is. Oh, you first have to believe and then you'll find the evidence. Okay, so the other person, it's just circles and circles and circles. Ajay, how not to be dishonest in conversation? That's a good title for this clip, if I ever put it out as a clip. Gunduchi says, what is this Baba? What? Baba? So this guy actually came in an earlier live stream with a different name, but then he took that clip of mine and posted it on his channel where his name was Jagdish Swarup. He's some actual Baba in Haridwar or something. भगवान भला करे इनके धर्म का. गुंडू thank you for the 400 rupees. ये मॉड का पैसा है, घर की मुर्गी दाल बराबर. Gunduchi is a mod in the chat, by the way. If anyone misbehaves, Gunduchi has the power to mod them. I think I also made Taranga a mod, but I don't think that worked out. Taranga, send me your YouTube channel URL. Like when you click on the top right thing inside YouTube and your channel comes, that URL send me by WhatsApp and I'll make you an admin. Apurv, thank you for the 1000 rupees super chat. Much appreciated. Apoor says, "Yo, Vimo, this might be off topic, but did you see the room temperature superconductor invention news? Apparently, the process is very medical, and we could have discovered it in the 18th century. Imagine that." No, I have not seen this. I have not seen this. But thank you for bringing it to my attention. I'll look it up. And if you want to send me a link, please do so. We have we have Srikant. Hi, Srikant. You're online. Go on.
Hey, hi Vimoh. Should
Hey,
I
what's
turn
up?
on my camera?
You can
I
if
mean,
you want
I'm
to.
joining. Yeah, I'm joining for the first time actually. Yeah, I just joined the stream. I'm not sure what the topic is and all, but
It's
you've
okay.
been
It's an
doing a great
atheism live
work.
stream. Huh. You
Yeah,
can choose a topic that's mildly
I
associated with Babagiri, etc.
okay. I initially started following you on Insta probably a year back. I
Okay.
randomly came across your profile and I've been following you.
Hmm.
I'm sorry I haven't become a member yet, but I will soon.
That's okay. That's
Uh,
okay. Nobody's. It's not mandatory.
I've been like in many live streams, but I've never commented or joined. But for today,
Hmm.
some reason I thought like I wanted to share something, and I
Hmm.
joined. So I'm from Hyderabad.
Okay.
Um, I've been like looking at this Twitter videos where Muslims are being treated as very uh, this Haryana violence, be it Manipur or it can be Jaipur, also anything. It actually bothering me. Like it started really bothering me. This is not an ideal society looks like. So
Yeah.
last month I've traveled outside of India for the first time, and I've seen like, I mean, although there is a racism, etc., everything is there, but people are really minds their own business. Everything is so calm. People follow rules, etc. Like after coming here, like I'm just like looking at everything in a very different perspective. Asking myself this question: like, where are we? What are we doing?
Hmm.
How? I mean, these things are very like it's bothering me actually. What
Yeah.
else
It
can?
should bother anyone with a conscience. It should bother anyone with some kind of conception of what a civilized society should be, because we are rapidly descending into this great big uncivilized hole from which we may never emerge. And the tragedy is that we think this is civilization. The
Hmm.
tragedy is that we are calling this culture and glorious return to glorious values and all that. This is cultural suicide. I'm sorry to
Yes.
mention the word suicide, but this is
Yeah. Yeah.
cultural suicide. This is how a civilization dies.
Yes. So I've been vocal ever since. Like at least within my capacity, I try to educate people. If in within discussions, be it caste privilege. First, we should acknowledge at least people who are living in urban cities earning a decent income
Yeah.
should acknowledge their privilege. I always bring up these topics like whenever I usually go out with my friends to have some chai or anything in the evening. I deliberately make it a point to bring in these discussions, mainly political discussions. People think that they are apolitical, but it's not actually. Like either they're privileged or they seem to um,
Apolitical.
so like I try to bring in these discussions, and usually people I put my like in social medias or everywhere I post statuses or anything that in within my capacity, and people usually mock me saying like, what will you achieve by doing this? It's like everything in this world ever happened is happened because of a protest or some sort of voicing out their opinion. Like so I always tell them like you should not take protest or any of these things lightly, because sooner or later people who are protesting will become a larger members than who are in like against it.
Hmm.
Then I tell them basically to voice out your opinion. If there's nothing in my grasp of what I like, if it is just putting out my thoughts, I'll just do that. That if that is all I
Hmm.
can do, I can do that. Like
Yeah, yeah. You
the,
you do what you can with what you have for as long as you can, until you can't anymore, because
yes,
people, somebody puts you in jail or something, and that's all you can. But I think that a whole lot of people have, like, what happens when these guys punish an independent journalist or a scholar or a student for speaking the
hmm,
truth? What happens is, like, they don't gain much by one guy going to jail, but they send a larger message to
yes,
everyone else who's thinking about doing it. Get in line, otherwise this will happen to you also. So all these things are usually messages, and a lot of people internalize this message to such a great degree that they won't even raise their voice in their ghar ka WhatsApp group, which is tragic and it's stupid. Because for the most part, Nothing more than your uncle getting angry at you is happening. That's all that will happen to you. It's not like on a WhatsApp chat you say, "Uncle, this is stupid. Please don't spread these things." That your door will be broken down and ED and CBI will come into your house and take you away. Within the context of your own home and your family, you can at least say this. And people have become so afraid that they're not even doing that.
And like the last thing, like I'm even more afraid how many people are thinking this is all normal. How, I mean, the that is more scarier for me.
Yeah, yeah. But I don't think it'll last. I think I was writing a story earlier today about like a very short thing where there's this forest where there is this crow, and the crow has taken over the area surrounding the pond because it's political power and money power. The crow is very rich, but most people who live around the pond are swans, like they're bright white glorious swans. So the crow says ki from now on everyone is a crow, and those who say that they're not crows will get punished, and he starts punishing swans who say that they're not crows. And eventually he says everyone must paint themselves in crow colors. They must like look like a crow. So a lot of swans, because they're afraid, they start painting themselves in the colors of a crow also. But eventually monsoon comes, right? It's impossible
Yes.
to maintain the
Sooner or later,
illusion
yes,
of
yes, yes.
everyone being a crow. You can fool some people from outside saying, yeah, this is crow country. You can even cause some swans who are opportunistic to say things like, yeah, I'm a crow, I'm a proud crow. But eventually monsoon comes and swans can't stay out of the water. The natural state of being of a society like India is multicultural. So every imposition with respect to one culture, one leader, one religion, and all that, it's going to fail, inevitably going to fail. The tragic part is before it fails, a lot of people are going to suffer, but it is
Mm.
bound to fail because this all this uh, one whatever idea, it's stupid in the
It's
extreme.
stupid, yes.
It's yeah,
uh,
unsustainable.
so I am actually a bit ignorant on the Indian history also. Like last 6 months I've been trying to read all the Indian history and all. So I've started with Hyderabad first, like the thing how Hyderabad came into India after the Indian
Mm,
independence, like later a year. And also I was thinking,
mm.
no, we were like never how should I put it, like one thing. We are actually form of different people just put together, like uh, right. I lost my train of thought, what I was
No,
saying.
I get it, I get it.
Yeah. Uh,
It's a
and
multicultural society, and understanding our history is going to be more complex than just reading a few books and coming to the
yeah.
conclusion
So
that we are one people who are oppressed by all these other people.
yes. So my thing is like if in this current regime, like if the government institutions are being any other institutions are being corrupted,
Hmm.
that we can do it. Like I mean, if some other government comes, if they are good enough, they can like do a proper this thing and all. What about these crores of people minds who have been corrupted by these things? uh, like it can be religious things, or like they think they're just because they're Hindus they're some sort of higher human beings, or uh, these these thoughts, like once they go into their mind, I don't think it is very easy to I am not putting
It's
in
it's
my
going to
question
be
in
it's going to be an uphill battle after, even
yes,
after this these people go from power, which they inevitably will. There's no
but
questioning it.
how long is my question.
That's true.
Like
That's true.
can,
It can take little time. It can take a little more time, but it's definitely going to go away.
but
And
change is inevitable, yeah.
whatever multicultural reality we live in is going to assert itself. That's inevitable. India is not going to become a Hindu nation. Even if they write it on paper, it's going to remain multicultural, and then eventually someone will come and turn it around. And after that happens, it's still going to be an uphill battle to undo all the poison that they've injected into society for quite some years. But I do believe it can be done, and it will be done. As in, there is no dearth of enlightened, kind-hearted, good people in this country who will work hard to bring things around. Like, it's almost as if there is a country with a rich history since independence, and multiple political parties have been power. Multiple ideologies have joined hands in order to form governments at the center, and they have achieved a lot. But then this one party comes to power and says, A, everything good that happened in all that period, we deserve credit for. despite the fact that their ideological forebears were against computers and telephones and everything practically. They were not even using the Indian tricolor flag for until Atal Bihari Vajpayee was close to power. So this is a hijack. It's a cultural hijack of all of India, and it's unsustainable. पूरा दुनिया अपना आँख नहीं बंद कर लेगा ना.
Yes.
Everyone knows who Gandhi is. Everyone knows who
Yes,
Nehru is.
exactly, exactly.
Everyone is aware of what India has been for the 70 years. Not been perfect, definitely, and there is definitely scope for improvement. But this shit cannot last. Don't worry about it.
So
I have full
yeah,
faith that this shit will not last.
that's all. I don't have anything else at this
Great.
moment.
Thank you. Thank you
Thank
for
you.
joining.
Thank you for having me
Much
as well.
appreciated.
Yeah.
Bye
Bye.
bye. That was Shrikant. Good conversation. Hmm. Before I proceed, Lucas Joseph, thank you for becoming a member. Wait, were you not already a member, or is this a renewed notice that is? I don't know. Okay, so I'm just going to assume you're a new member. Dr. Pretty, thank you for the 449 rupees. Hi Vimoh, love your videos. Your commitment to reason, critical thinking, willingness to question beliefs is inspiring. Thank you for creating this space. You're most welcome, Dr. Pretty. Uh, Again, thank you to everyone for supporting. There is Ajay. Ajay, your webcam is on. Would you like me to bring you on screen? Nod if your answer is yes. Ajay Kedar. Okay, because he's not responding, I'll just uh, bring him on screen. Hi Ajay.
Hi Vimoh, how are you?
What's up?
Good.
ठीक हूँ. बताओ क्या
So,
चल रहा है?
I was like it's a pretty long time when I was discussing something with my colleagues
Hmm.
related to Elon Musk. Like they were going on
Okay.
about how Elon Musk is a great inventor and all this thing. I was pointing out that he is not like what we think. He's not as smart as he thinks he is. And I was
He's not
talking
smart.
about how
He's not even as smart as other people think he is,
correct.
which may be more.
So,
Okay.
and there were
Wait. Ajay, wait 1 second. Everyone else in queue, I'll have to end today's live stream a little sooner. Ajay is the last caller today. So everyone else who's waiting, please come back next week if that's all right. I'm so sorry, but I have to end the live stream in exactly 1 hour. We have like 10 minutes, and I think Ajay will take up most of it. Cool. Go on, Ajay.
So I was talking, like I was trying to reason with them that I think he is not as smart as he is thinking, and most of his inventions are also done by many other people. It's not like individual effort.
Hmm.
And they were like coming to a conclusion that okay, but he's smart enough to hire those people. I'm like, he doesn't treat even his employees well. What are you talking about? At the
His
end, the question, sorry,
the only company where he has made good hiring decisions is SpaceX, and SpaceX is a
correct,
government contractor. Like the scientists are half employed by the US government. In
correct,
every
correct,
company, in every other company where he has been in charge of employing people, it has not been good. The Boring company has failed. The cyber truck failed on the stage, and a whole lot of other shit.
correct,
Twitter तो सब देख ही रहे हैं, जल रहा है basically company.
correct. So my point was that it is not an individual effort, and he may have taken all the space by a kind of media handling by
Hmm.
publishing his things on media and talking nonsense on that.
Hmm.
And the kind of cult my colleagues had for him, at the end they came to the conclusion. What I was saying is, if he is not smart, then who you think is smart enough? I'm like, why do I need, like, it's asking me if I don't have a religion, what should I replace it with? And I'm
Yeah.
like, I don't have to replace it with anything.
Yeah.
It's a individual, means it is a group effort. Every individual has contributed something, and we have to go forward and do something about it. It's not like believing one person has done everything and putting him at a god level is kind of
Yeah.
nonsense, I think.
I
But
think also
that
as a society, what people are usually referring to when they say something like this is that we should have role models, right?
correct,
I think it is
yeah,
more important to have role models who are kind and good-hearted people than role models
correct,
who are smart and wealthy. If our society, generally speaking, has role models who are social workers who have helped a lot of people instead of people who just have the biggest car and the most money and the largest house, then that will change
correct,
society to a great degree. Role models are a good thing, but I don't think people like
correct.
Elon Musk should be role models for society.
I will go further and say that even the role models should be based on their work, what they have done, what kind of work they have pursued, how
Mm,
empathetic they are, rather
mm,
than their whole personality being taking the center stage of it. If we have like let's say Richard Dawkins right now,
mm.
if we think about it, I may be fan of his work, but I'm not fan of this guy. As a
Hmm.
personality, he's not really good at this point of time, and I really
No,
learned that because of Richard Dawkins.
I think personality will get into it at some point. Like it's inescapable.
Mm,
You can't have
correct,
someone in the public eye, someone who's working well and someone who's doing good things, and people not comment on their personality, their way of speaking, etc. That's inevitable. It will happen. But yeah, I
correct,
agree that we need to be more measured when we are choosing role models. Richard Dawkins
correct,
can be thought of as a role model for children who are interested in writing about science, but not
correct.
in certain other departments. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's what my point was. That I think uh, when we actually think about smart people, we have to be
Hmm.
very critical about what they are doing in their original life,
Yeah,
rather than just go by their words.
that's true. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, that's what's my point.
That's what?
Uh,
Okay. Thank you, Ajay. Thank you for coming.
one more thing,
Uh-huh.
Vimo. I just want to plug in something. So next week,
Okay.
in Bangalore, next Saturday, there is something called March for Science.
Okay.
Maybe people who are in Bangalore can join.
Okay. I will
Uh,
WhatsApp it to Science is Dope, who I think will already know about it.
I think
We usually inform.
I already DM'd him the
Okay.
thing,
Cool. Cool.
so he
March for
knows. I
Science in
don't know.
Bengaluru.
Yes,
Let me just look it up. March for Science Bengaluru. Bangalore, India March for Science 2022 का पेज है. 2023
I,
का नहीं है. Is there some other place on the website on the web where
I
I can
think
find
it
it?
is in. It may be on Facebook. You have to search
Then I
something
can't.
called break.
I'm not on
Yeah,
Facebook. I
yeah.
can't. Cool. ठीक
Maybe
है.
I will
Cool.
DM you. I will DM you
हाँ, sure,
the photo. Maybe you
sure.
can.
Do so. Do so.
Okay. Thanks,
Anyway,
Vimo.
thank you, Ajay.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye bye. That was Ajay, and that was our last caller. There are some people still in the queue. In case you didn't notice, when I mentioned Ajay was the last caller, I'm not taking any more callers today. But thank you for joining. I will with apologies, I'm removing you from the chat. Thank you for leaving without me removing you. Let's see if there are any more super chats left. No, there are not. Uh, Akash says Elon Musk is a product of dumb US government who bails out his company SpaceX for 10 years ago when SpaceX was in a shithole. Yeah, that's true. And we have such things happening in India also. Uh, Certain questions have been raised about a certain Mr. Adani by a petulant member of parliament who was kicked out and is now back in parliament. Presumably, he will be back soon. And I'm sure Adani will come up again. It's not like this only happens in the US. But yeah, Elon Musk is a prime example of it. Plenty of US industrialists are examples of it when the economy collapses and the biggest the greatest price is paid by the poor. Governments often choose to bail out really rich people instead of provide tax relaxations for the poor, and that's a tragedy of capitalism. Let me take a look at some comments because we still have like 2 minutes. Mm, uh, hmm, hmm. Ex-Hindu, now atheist, says to Sagar Sabharwal, no parent will ever let anyone get away doing wrong to their child. My words, do not be so sure. Yeah, there are plenty of abusive parents in the world. I myself used to have this view, by the way, until I met some people whose childhoods were literal hell thanks to their parents, including some people uh, who their parents tried to kill. So don't be so sure that we have this high fang, like, this vaunted idea of what being a parent means. And sure, it may be true in many cases, but it's not true in all cases. So we should not say no parent will do it. There are plenty of people who are really, really terrible human beings and they abuse their children. Hmm. Gunduchi is being an admin. Very good, very good. Mm, mm, mm. Shreyan says, among all the Godi media journalists, Sudhir Chaudhary fits that role the best. Appears to be polite with his approach, but रोज dinner time पे hate परोसता है. Yep, that's true. Uttam, Freud, no feuds, doston. Yes, people. Gunduchi is the admin. I think Gunduchi should change his name to Gunduchi bracket में admin, then people will understand it. Of course, the problem with that is that other people will also start adding admin to the name, and then I won't be able to do anything about it. I wish there was some way. If StreamYard, okay, StreamYard वाले तो सुन नहीं रहे होंगे, but I'll send them stuff. If I have an admin in chat, allow me to label them as admin. Varsha Goel says this is what a lot of people don't understand. Politics is rooted in our daily life. Everything is political. Nobody can be apolitical. Yeah. When someone says they're apolitical, they're basically choosing the side of the status quo. That's all. That's all. No one. अभी कुछ दिन पहले गुंडुची I think pointed out something. Sinister bit about all this is that centrist working man of the country, I'm not right leaning but is the most dangerous phrase. Yeah. अभी कुछ दिन पहले किसी ने कमेंट छोड़ा था, उसके साथ गालियां भी दी थी, इसलिए कमेंट स्पैम में चला गया, पर मैं जब स्पैम चेक कर रहा था तो आई सॉ दिस कमेंट एंड मैं आई एम पैराफ्रेजिंग बट दिस वाज द एसेंस ऑफ इट. Just because I'm against reservations, just because I think caste is something to be proud of, just because I support this Modi government, just because I think Rahul Gandhi is an asshole, you think I'm a right winger? Why? Who tells you this? Why are you so judgmental? And I'm like, if it quacks like a duck and it walks like a duck, that it is a duck. I understand that you don't want the label, but everything you are doing puts you in that category. And I was not born yesterday. तुम यहाँ आके मुझे सी नहीं बना सकते, despite clearly demonstrating all your intentions and all your beliefs. It's like, just because I robbed a bank, you think I'm a bank robber. Just because I ate chicken, you think I'm not a vegetarian. It's like Hindu atheist. Just because I worship God and go to the temple, you think I'm not an atheist. कहाँ से आते हैं ये लोग? Atul Anthony says, Vimoh, do you know a guy about String? You mean the String YouTube channel? Yeah, I've seen his stuff. It's crap. He was also the guy who made a video a couple of years ago about how his life was in danger from news laundry of all people. इनको बस सुबह से रात तक रोना धोना है और कुछ नहीं, और कोई एजेंडा नहीं हुआ करके रोते हैं. अरे हम लुट गए, हमारा लैंड चला गया, ये हमारा वो ले गए, वो हमारा ये ले गए. कुछ भी नहीं होता इनकी लाइफ में प्रॉब्लम. These are the equivalents of first world problems in India. Freud says India has no right wing and left wing. It's socialists versus communists in India. Taranga says Crocs don't have to convince. Just say no, I don't want to. There is no point trying to convince, usually in such matters. Wait, what is that in response to? Crocs had asked, how do I convince my dad that I don't want to do puja? Taranga says, don't have to convince. Just say no, I don't want to. There is no point trying to convince, usually in such matters. Yeah, but then Taranga, dads are very persistent. I know this. If you say I don't want to, their brain fails to process it. What? How can he have wants? Is he not a carbon copy of me? I think generation gap stems from the fact that parents are unable to come to terms with the fact that their children are not exact copies of them. How can he not be like me? How can he have a single thought that is different from me? And then they really get offended. Frenny says a lot of right wingers hold this idea. They don't think they are right wingers. The word is enlightened centrist. Oh yeah, apolitical, centrist, and a whole lot of they are very fond of using phrases like crypto Muslim or crypto Christian. I think we should start using crypto right winger. A right winger who's pretending to be a liberal by calling himself a centrist or apolitical. But thank you everyone for joining today's live stream. Much appreciated. Good conversations were had and good live chat messages were seen. I will remind everyone that if you want to support the channel, you can do so by clicking the join button below and becoming a member, or sending a super chat, which I suppose now you can't because the live stream is ending. So what you can do is, if you're watching this later on, you can click the super thanks button below and send money that way. Of course, the best way to send me money is UPI. You can just send money to Vimoh at UPI, VIMOH@UPI from your Bhim app or your whatever mobile app you use for payments, because I get all of it. Through YouTube, through Patreon, some cut goes to other parties, but UPI is just all the money to me. You can also go to my website at www.vimoh.in and click the support button there and pay through that. That is also something that gives me a larger cut. So thank you again for everyone for joining. Okay, Taranga has responded. Taranga says, but if we just keep saying no, they will eventually ask why, and then only we should, and then only we should take the trouble to explain why. I was only saying convincing and particular is point. Okay, got it, got it. Atheist analysis, crypto right wing is a good point. Okay, I'll just keep reading comments if I continue reading comments. So I'll say good night now. Please take care of yourselves. Today is 5th August 2023. The next time I see you will be Wednesday at 8 p.m. And then we will talk about on Wednesdays. I don't take callers. I just read chat. So if like more messages get covered that way. So if you had something to say and I could not read your message today, please come back on Wednesday and we'll talk. Until then, please take care of yourselves. Good night and have a happy rest of the week. Bye bye.